my sweet sassy molassie. What's up to all our sidekicks and henchfolk out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently tuning in to the CultPop podcast live stream, aka spoiler alert, episode number 779, wherein we will review the past week's comics as well as talk about some fun pop culture topics, maybe or maybe not. Who knows? For your listening and viewing pleasure, I don't know. Who knows? I'm your host, Johnny Destructo of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex, located at 4327 Main Street, Philadelphia, PA. Who knows? Is it a super rad shop which caters to nerdy and nerd-adjacent individuals of all shapes and sizes? Who knows? Joining me tonight is Brian Lieb. Brian Lieb, who knows?
I've heard the Shadow knows, but
does.
I think that's a very specific thing.
Yeah.
I don't think it's any of those questions.
Oh, it's
really
life
just in general. Yeah.
More about things lurking in the hearts of men.
Not just, I mean, evil. Yes. Yeah. I don't think he never really addresses. I haven't heard the whole catalog. Is he like, I also know when hunger lurks in the hearts of men.
Yeah.
And sometimes when they're not comfortable, either socially or in their sitting position.
When gas lurks in the hearts of men.
That's dangerous, I would think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That'll kill you.
Yeah.
That'll kill you.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you to everyone who's on with Facebook and YouTube and Twitch, and then commenting below. That's why we're here, is to engage with y'all. Hal says, "What's up?" And Robert Monroe says, "Good evening, Cult Poppers."
How would you feel if people just stood outside of your shop and watched you that way, and maybe they had like a little cup thing that they held up to the door? Would you be cool with that?
That's fine.
Nice.
As long as they're not trying to get into the shop.
No. They're just watching the show, your half of the show. And maybe they've got another guy over here, and then they're on the phone saying what each of us said. Yeah.
How they found your home address, I'd be curious to know, but
I'd be real curious about that. I don't announce it on the show like you do all the time.
Right.
But, I mean, if they're friendly and everything's cool, I think it's largely okay. You could probably find it if you wanted to.
Just Googling hard enough?
Yeah, just Google it hard. Just hard enough.
Oh, we don't want any flaccid Googling. Only rock hard Googling. We have a letter.
Yeah. What is it
about? I'm going to read it. Oh. Here it comes. It's called Ditching DC and Marvel, and it's from Christopher Goodnight. Hey, guys. I know it's been a long time since I wrote in. I'm usually either sleeping or working on Monday nights with the occasional trip to the movie theater. Sometimes I sleep there, too. I finally ditched 99% of my Marvel and DC books as far as ongoings go, that is. I kept Nightwing, Robin, Nice House on the Lake, and Batman Beyond the White Knight, and King Conan. The rest of my books are either Boom or Image. I did keep my metal and death metal collection, as well as that all-new, all-different DC stuff they put out. What was it called again? All-new, all-different DC.
That actually applies to a lot of times. But I assume it means the recent, either right after Rebirth, but more likely right after Dark Knight's.
I guess, maybe.
I guess, yeah.
I just can't with all the events anymore. I know you can just read the main titles, but they have preludes and alphas and omegas, and it's just too much. I had a pile of books that I hadn't touched and was just shuffling through because I didn't feel like reading them. Sorry, Batgirls and Task Force Z. Also, why does Daredevil need to be rebooted again with the same writer/artist team? I kicked it. Hulk, which I didn't even realize I had missed an issue on, She-Hulk, Ghost Rider, and Thor to the curb. Wow. Okay.
All right.
I also got rid of my collections of Birthright, Outcast, and Oblivion Song. I even canceled my plans to read Jeff Lemire and Andrea Sorrentino's Bone Orchard universe because I'm not sure Jeff Lemire is actually a good writer. It's one of those things where, like, I was reading the word and I was like, that doesn't sound right. But then it turns out it was. I think Gideon Falls was carried by Sorrentino's art. Frankly, I have yet to see a great ending to an ongoing standalone outside of maybe Chew and possibly The Sixth Gun. Descender was okay, but ending one series by setting up another series felt like a cheat. It's the same thing Williamson did with Nailbiter. Hell, even TMNT Last Ronin ends with a to be continued. It does. Wait, what? What? It does?
Yeah. Although, who knows how to be continued it. You know what I mean? Like, they might just be saying the story goes on, and whether or not they tell anymore, like, this is still a full story. I hope that's the case.
Oh shit! To be continued.
To be continued.
Yeah. Oh, you know what though? I'm not sure that's a. I'm not sure that's a legitimate to be continued.
Could it just be like the story always?
Yes.
Is continued.
Yes. The last page doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be another series. When you see it, I think you'll understand what I mean. I'm not entirely sure that it's an actual.
But you didn't read. Did you read anything past the ones that we read for the show?
No.
For the
issue 1 is what I've read.
Okay, I think I read 1 and 2. I think we read 1 and 2 for the show. Yeah.
He continues. I'm really worried that Nice House on the Lake is going to biff that ending as well. Although with a set number of issues, maybe the ending has been planned from the get-go. I got my tattoo, like I said, though it's not done. And let me tell you, I'm addicted. I don't have enough appendages for the number of fandoms I want to represent on my body. Have a good show, Chris. Chris, that was a wonderful email.
Indeed.
I completely understand why you might drop Marvel and DC. I totally get it. Although, I don't think even the one Hulk is good. She-Hulk is great. Thor is awesome. Gosh. Yeah, Nightwing is great. I haven't read any Robin. I read the first issue of Robin. Nice House on the Lake is one of my favorite books of the year. So yeah.
Yeah, I get that too. And what he mentions about Daredevil rebooting, I'm not familiar with that specifically, but I think it'll tie into a comic that we'll talk about during the show tonight. It seems like, they're rebooting it with the same creative team. It's just like number ones are a thing that is done in comics now to obviously to get sales, but also just like, hey, we want people to look, we're doing a slightly new thing. This is now the new number one. And maybe that's where things are going with, DC is doing it in a little bit of a different way where they have planned miniseries, but those are like 8-issue things, but it feels like a bit of a cheat when they're like, this is Daredevil number 1 a year after the previous Daredevil number 1.
Yeah.
There has been a change in the story. It's a new number 1.
Yeah.
A new set of circumstances that's a little different is now the set of circumstances, number 1.
However, I've had this conversation before with someone, and that's what they want.
Yeah.
That's what they want. Right. Restart the book every year. You read 12 issues, you read that storyline.
Yeah.
You have a jumping off point or a jumping on point.
Yeah.
You read the next storyline. As long as they keep those little legacy numbers that I like much, I don't care.
See, that's the thing, isn't it? Then you could still have that with 12-issue story arcs.
Yes, and you would not get the number 1 sales bump.
Well, right, but that wouldn't affect this person as a reader,
Right.
Especially if it's collected in trade,
But yeah, the fact that you can get another person to try a new number 1.
Sure. Yeah,
is very helpful. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The thing that bothers me is when people online, it happened even today. There was, of course, anytime Miss Marvel shows up anywhere on Facebook, a lot of the comments below were like, "Duh, it's going to get canceled." Blah. Her books keep getting canceled. Nah, that means she sucks. And why do they keep force feeding this character and it keeps getting canceled? Yeah. You know what else just got rebooted? SpiderMan.
Yeah.
So shut up. That's just the way the industry works now. Books get rebooted with number 1s. That's the end of it. That's going to keep happening because they get a sales bump.
Yeah. Hal 2814 brings up an issue that we read. I was enjoying Nonstop Spider-Man, but that ending, WTH? Question mark.
That is a different. That's a different thing altogether.
What is this? Yeah.
F that book. That was aggressive. It was bad.
Like 5 issues into a storyline, and issue 6 was number 1 of a new thing that was like part 6 of the previous storyline.
Yeah. That was a bridge too far.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. What is that? What bridges are they talking about? What is
the ones that are too far, and I'm not going to go to them.
Like, it's so weird to have both of those things in the metaphor. Like it's on a road. It's a bridge. Like you got to cross the bridge, and also it's far away. Like if it was right here, I'd cross. But
it's too far.
Eh.
It's too far. I'm not going to do it. Mars asks, where's Noel? That's a great question. He's working.
Yeah.
So we all suffer.
Yeah. Probably
I guess he's suffering a little bit more. We're talking about comics and he's doing actual work.
Yeah. I don't know.
He's probably suffering more.
Loving every minute of it.
Yeah. He's like, boy, sure, I'm glad I'm not talking about comics with those nerds.
Yeah. Oh, now, Chris, St. Saucy Goodnight's other point about getting rid of books. Now, that's something that I wouldn't do, personally, right? No matter what's going on in the stories now, I don't think it would cause me to get rid of, my copy of Birthright if I had one.
Oh, I'm sorry, your collection.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which is what it seemed like.
I don't know if he was getting rid of books because of that.
Well, he said he got rid of Birthright, which is, if he's talking about Superman Birthright, like that's a story from a long time ago.
I don't think so. No, I think he was talking about the Image comic Birthright.
Oh, okay.
Because it was lumped together with I think Outcast or
I didn't know that
Oblivion Song.
I didn't know that there was an Image comic called Birthright, and I thought that Oblivion Song was also referring to the trades, but I didn't realize that even came out in issues. I thought that was an original trade thing. Here we go.
Birthright by Joshua Williamson.
Oh, yeah. I didn't believe you, actually, beforehand. But now I'm forced to. So I see it.
Yeah. It's a pretty interesting series, actually.
Oh, all right. Cool.
All right. I agree, Brian. I have never gotten rid of a book, says Mars.
Yeah. No, I love them. Even if I haven't looked at it for 10 years or longer, like, they're there. Every so often, it's cool to go through and see all that stuff. Yeah. And I have a lot of stuff. Anyway, that's my way that I do things.
Let's talk about one or more comics. We're going to start with The Amazing Spider-Man #1 from Marvel Comics, written by Zeb Wells with art by John Romita Jr. Here is the solicitation. What did Spider-Man do? Peter's on the outs with the FF. He's on the outs with the Avengers. He's on the outs with Aunt May. No one wants to see Spider-Man except for Dr. Octopus. Ox on Spider-Man's tail.
What? He's on his tail?
No,
I didn't think you see him on any tails.
Jesus Christ.
Maybe Spider-Man left his tail somewhere else and we didn't see that in the issue.
That's true. Yes. Yeah. Maybe. These fucking things. Ox on Spider-Man's tail, and the Master Planner has something truly terrible planned for when he gets his tentacles on Spidey.
Who?
All that, and the actual plot of the book. What does Tombstone have planned? Just in time for Spider-Man's 60th anniversary, a new volume of Amazing Spider-Man begins, and 2022 is going to be the biggest year for Spider-Man ever. Blah 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 blah.
This is the biggest one.
Jesus,
you're just telling us now.
Dr. Octopus is in 2 pages of this book, and they're at the very, very end.
Oh, I didn't even notice.
It's a post-credit sequence. This entire book is about Spider-Man dealing with Tombstone. Yes?
Yes. Do you think they get the plot of the whole arc before? You know what I mean? Are they writing off of like, this is going to be what happens, and they have to write this solicit so far in advance that, or something? Like, why are they so often incorrect?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's infuriating. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'm trying to share I'm so annoyed right now. I'm trying to share the book so that we can look at the book, and Chrome is being a dickhead.
What?
Go to System Preferences. Here, you say words so I can fix this. Okay.
I begin the words now. This comic is the one that I was talking about with similar to Daredevil. Now the solicit makes a big deal out of like, what did Peter Parker do? We don't know. I didn't know that we didn't know. And I know that this is coming right out of whatever Ben Reilly thing was happening before. And he was in the hospital for a while, and they mentioned his medical bills. And I'm reading this, and I'm like, this seems like the middle of some other story. But it's a new #1, because Peter Parker is back in the suit. But it felt like I didn't know what was happening in a way that could have been, gone over pretty readily in the beginning of the book. Story, like in story. Now, if they don't want you to know what's going on, then my impression is a little bit in the wrong, but they could still make it clear that you're not supposed to know what's going on. You know what I mean? You could do that in a clever way, just in one box, something, like even the words like Spider-Man is here. What did he do? Question mark. Would let the reader know that there's a mystery.
Yeah.
It seems kind of Stan Lee-ish, right? From the early days of Marvel Comics. And, it is designed. It's supposed to be for somebody who hasn't necessarily read Spider-Man right before this. Why else publish a number one? So I think something like that would have gone a long way. Other than that, I don't know. It was a finely told issue. John Romita Jr. is good on Spider-Man. He feels like a very classic Spider-Man. He's not who I would ever say is, like the top Spider-Man artist for me, or what I think of as Spider-Man when I think of Spider-Man. But his particular style looks very Spider-Man-ish,
Yeah.
And so that's cool.
I mean, he's been doing it since the 80s, on and off. So
right. And his dad is
an
extremely notable Spider-Man artist who I imagine influences the way that he does stuff. They look very similar in some ways.
For sure.
So, yeah, I mean, I thought the issue was cool, other than not knowing what was going on and thinking that other readers might, and that I would get more out of the story if I did. But what do you think, JD?
I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I saw an article that was saying that he's unlikable in this first issue, and that's kind of the case. He is unlikable because he's dealing with something terrible that happened.
Yeah.
6 months ago, some big catastrophe happened, and I guess, of course, being Spider-Man, he blames himself, and I guess a lot of other people blame him as well.
Yeah.
So he's on the outs with a lot of people, including Mary Jane. He's no longer, even kind of talking to Mary Jane, it seems. At least she doesn't really want to talk to him. And so a lot of this has to do with Tombstone, who is a character that I really liked back in the
90s,
late 80s.
In the animated series? Yeah.
No, in the late 80s in the comic book.
All right.
And I always thought it was neat because he always kind of whispered. So like all of his text boxes were his font was very small, because he was always sort of just kind of whispering. And I really like that in a comic book. The guy, this big, massive, white-skinned, alabaster-skinned fella who's a bruiser, and he just kind of talks like this, real quiet. And I think it had to do with the fact that he's got this granite skin,
like
and it's messed up his voice, his vocal cords. But yeah, this was cool. I thought this was fun. I didn't think I was going to be excited about JR returning because I did not like his stuff in DC, and I didn't like his Avengers work. But here, this is actually good Spider-Maning. It looks solid. So yeah, I mean, and there's a big what the frick at the end here, where Mary Jane, he calls Mary Jane, and she's like, I can't do this. Stop calling me, please. And Paul comes home, this guy Paul, and two little kids come in screaming mommy. And she says kiddos and gives them a big hug. And that's the cliffhanger that,
and
Mary
one
Jane
of them looks a lot like Mary Jane also. I'm just
a little
noticing.
redhead, yeah.
Right, like
with the dimples even
the dimples.
Yeah, the John Romita senior dimples. So yeah, I'm curious. I have a feeling it's going to be something like she's dating this guy Paul, who has two children.
Yeah.
And they just happen to call, like, I mean, it's just kids being kids. I don't think it's supposed to be like, oh my God, she had two children in the last 6 months, and both of them are
8 and 10 years old now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'll be curious to see what the revelation of that is. But other than this, I thought it was a good first issue. I'm curious about what's going on, what happened 6 months ago to cause all of this. But yeah,
calling her mommy is still, that's fast,
That's fast, yeah. 6 months,
I would think, yeah. But you never know with kids, I guess.
Or she is an actress.
You think this is all a ruse? Not a ruse, but
well, maybe it's possible they play her children in something.
Oh, and so it's like a fun thing, and Paul is like the
another actor,
assistant director or something.
Yeah, something like that.
No, probably assistant director. I don't. Him being another actor would be weird.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, just maybe like a best boy or something.
Yeah, the Grip. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see Grip. He looks like a Grip. Yeah, and that would be a reasonable fake out, right? Yeah. For them to do for us.
But of course, I saw people online be like, "Oh, she's got kids now. Marvel sucks." Just shut up. You didn't even read the book. I guarantee you didn't read the book. You just saw like an article or something. It's just infuriating. But yeah, I like this new Spider-Man. I'm curious to see where it's going to go. Zeb Wells he's got a good handle on the character. He's written him before. So yeah, I'm in.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Yeah, you got it.
What about Justice League number 75 by DC Comics, written by Joshua Williamson with art by Rafa Sandoval? It's an oversized special issue. Superstar writer, blah, 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 pens the beginning of the next big DCU event. It all starts here. A new dark army made up of the DCU's greatest villains has formed on the edges of the multiverse. The DCU's best and most powerful heroes are pulled together in an epic war to push the darkness back. But in the end, they're no match for it. That's right. You heard it here first. The Justice League are killed by the Dark Army. This isn't where I heard it first.
I didn't hear
it. With only one survivor to warn the remaining heroes of Earth about what is coming for them. So we all knew that the death of the Justice League was coming for the past.
It made sure of that.
3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So this is not a surprise. On the front of the book, it says "Death of the Justice League."
It's the title of the book, or no? I guess it's Justice League number 75. But
is the title? Yeah. What did you think of this?
Man, I was a reader of this book. I read it.
Were you whelmed?
No, I was underwhelmed.
Okay.
Yeah, I was. A little bit of it is just like maybe because they hyped it up so much, and I'm like, what is this gonna be? Like, they're not doing that. You know what I mean? Or not for very long. Are they killing them all off? And it's just doesn't seem to have any weight to it anyway, which maybe is fine in the story that it leads into. Like, if we pretty quickly find out what's up with them and everyone else thinks they're dead and we know that they're not, like they did with Batman, in Final Crisis. It was like, all right, yeah. Well, Captain America, did you know immediately that he wasn't dead? Or did it take a while to find that out?
Oh, actually, I think you're right, actually. I think we did think he was dead, and it was... Yeah. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But they both ended up jumping through time. There were a lot of other similarities in the way that happens sometimes, not just in comics, but like Armageddon and Deep Impact. Yeah. Also, calculus was invented by 2 different people at roughly the same time.
What?
And, there's so many different things. Yeah, a guy named Leibniz, who was famous for being a philosopher, but not for inventing calculus, also invented calculus. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff like that. But in this book, it was just like, all right, we're going to read through until they're dead. And then we'll see what happens. Oliver was killed in a pretty normal way, or at least seemed to be near death.
Dude got smooshed by rocks.
That happens. But, the rest of them were kind of like vanished, Yeah.
Well, they were not only, I wouldn't, hold the phone. It was actually a callback. It felt to me like a callback to Barry Allen's Crisis on Infinite Earths death, where he sort of was running and then just became more and more emaciated and skeletal until eventually he just sort of like crumbled.
Yeah.
So this is, I think, a direct reference to that, except it's Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
And then everybody else gets blasted too. So it's not like they're just teleported. They are disintegrated into skeletons and then don't exist.
Which is also the kind of thing that you see if they've been hit by like a ray of some sort. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they didn't die a pounding physical death.
Right.
And so who knows? that could be a teleportation effect. You know what I mean? If they wanted it to be.
If they wanted to be assholes about it, yeah.
Yeah. Or something. Or they get reconstituted somewhere else pretty easily. Who knows? Oh, Kevin says Marconi and Tesla inventing the radio around the same time. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that stuff's real interesting. We're all grabbing ideas from the same input, right? Mm-hmm. And so coming up with similar things.
Yeah.
Yeah, just the information out there in the public consciousness. There's two Dennises the Menace.
That's the one I was going to bring up.
Yeah.
And they both came out on the same exact day.
Uh-huh.
One overseas in Britain and one in America.
Yeah.
Same exact. It's Dennis. They're both called Dennis the Menace. They're both like shitty kids.
They both have striped shirts.
Yeah.
And a slingshot in their back pocket. Yeah.
We both know that because of the Cracked podcast with you, which used to be amazing.
Oh yeah, it did.
It did. It used to be good.
Yeah.
I gave up. But yeah, I agree. I did. This was a book that I read. I had no emotional connection to it. I was in it purely to see what happens.
Yeah.
I don't know much. I remember Pariah.
Mm-hmm.
He's in this book, and he is a direct. My first experience of Pariah was in Crisis on Infinite Earths. I don't know if that was his first appearance.
That was everybody's first experience of Pariah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Someone's might be this book here.
Some later book. Yeah, I was wrong to say that.
So I was, but I've never known what his powers are other than to watch the eradication of the multiverse. And it turns out my man's he's boosted up. He's got some powers. So he's the one who takes out the Justice League.
Yeah. Well, him and this was another issue that I had with the book. It was like him and everybody else they've ever fought that has some sort of massive, not everybody, but just that whole lineup of like Darkseid, Neron, all of them. I appreciated that. I think Wonder Woman said, yeah, but are these really them or just shadows? That like they're not as difficult as they normally would be. Because otherwise that would be very
well, it is them, right? Because
it is
at least that's what I say it's them because at one point Darkseid they're all under the thrall of something.
The Great Darkness.
The Great Darkness, yeah.
Yeah.
And so at one point, Darkseid gets clocked, and he snaps out of it, and he says, the war is already over, Black Adam. The Justice League cannot win. Your only chance of survival is to... ... And then he gets reabsorbed by the darkness before he can finish the sentence. So it's definitely them, but I wonder if being enthralled by the Great Darkness sort of depowers them a little bit.
That's my understanding, is that like they're echoes of their regular selves, because of this. Now, I did think Pariah had a decent motivation because he's always been, he just watches. Like, I think he's indestructible maybe, but as like part of the curse that he has to watch everything get destroyed. If that even. But, he's like, look, this will bring us peace, finally. It's a reasonable reason for him to turn into a villain for this story. It makes sense, at least. As much as I don't like to see Pariah go down that road.
I don't know if it's all that interesting. I don't find him to be an engaging villain for this.
No, not really. It just like works logically. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I could see why that would happen. I'm not particularly interested in it. Also, Green Arrow's arrow that's like, I'm going to move through all of these moving things to hit Pariah's machine, and that's the thing that'll stop it. Like, it seems unlikely at best.
Oh, I thought that was cool. That was cool. He's just such a good marksman that he was able to take all these things into account, all of these moving bodies and energies and stuff, and still hit the mark. Well, I think that to me is a scene where I go, I see why he's on the Justice League. Right. It's very difficult. I'm usually the guy going, why is Hawkeye on the Avengers? Yeah, why is Green Arrow in the Justice League? Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. But it was a Green Arrow worthy moment. I went, all right, that's pretty cool. And then he immediately gets smushed.
Sure. Now, going through all that, I get that explanation, and I'm into that. I was just kind of thinking, like, how does Pariah not stop it right at the machine, though?
Yeah.
And, like, some sort of protective thing around the machine or what have you. But it did remind me of when he shot Hal Jordan as Parallax.
Mm-hmm.
You remember that in Zero
the
Hour?
heart?
Where right in the symbol.
Right in the symbol.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where you gotta aim for the logo.
Yeah, that's where they keep their artistic essence.
Yeah.
And so at the end, Black Adam shows up, having yelled Shazam, but now that I think about it, not having turned out of his super form.
I feel like Daredevil.
Yeah, how much like Daredevil?
Mostly the not seeing part.
Yeah, and the black thing is kind of like season 1 of the Netflix show, but you don't have any like abilities beyond what you normally have, or what's up?
You don't know.
I'm asking.
Oh.
Do you normally have?
No, I don't. No.
Oh, okay. Now I said beyond what you normally have. Do you normally have radar?
I have always had powers.
Like
yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
I hate this. Here's the thing. Here's a quick little thing. I hate the light is here, and if I put my hat on like this, then it casts this great shadow, a great darkness, if you will. So I have to put my hat on backwards. But now I feel like a fucking Fred Durst-alike or something.
A Fred Durst-alike.
I've never. Yeah, that's a thing,
man.
isn't it?
It is, I guess. I like the idea of adding alike to whatever thing we are being alike. Yeah.
I feel like a tool wearing my hat backwards like this, but
why don't you wear it sideways?
Like, yeah, is that it?
Yeah.
It's gonna be the
oh yes.
Yeah.
It's a classic style that's long since been ready for its return.
Boy, if I didn't hate myself already, if I didn't already have a lot of shame.
Yeah, then taking it off just now would do it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So Kevin had commented exclamation point question mark.
He did.
And I said, what's that about? And he said, the Dennis the Menace. Well, actually, what he typed was Dennis the Menzies info. And I don't think he meant Dennis the Menzies.
That's a different set of two characters that were created on the same day. 2 different countries.
Dennis the Menace's info. You may have just convinced me that we live in a simulation. Two Denises had Menzies at the same time. Denise the Menzies.
Now, Kevin, if you're concerned, as I always say in this situation, even if this is a simulation,
who cares?
It's still real, right? Like the Matrix is a real experience in that movie. This that you're having is a real experience now. And I mean, I wouldn't say who cares. Like, I'd still like to know and, see what's what from then on. If you can get out, that's great. Or just explore reality in this way. But, I don't know. Would that be evidence of some kind of simulation? Or would they go out of their way not to have that kind of thing happen? Wouldn't something weird like that happening be maybe evidence of it not being a simulation? Kurt Vonnegut said,
because it's too obvious.
Right. Like, why would they do that? That's an easy fix, right?
Yeah.
Unless, of course, they're like, man, some Brian Lee guy is gonna say something like that. And so we'll put the two of them in there. That way he thinks it's not a simulation.
Christopher Goodnight is in the comments saying the nerve of nonstop Spider-Man having an ending.
No, that's
the
not
problem
what happened.
is the problem is nonstop Spider-Man did not have an ending.
Yeah.
Nonstop Spider-Man had a cliffhanger, and then they changed the title of the book from Nonstop Spider-Man to Savage Spider-Man #1.
Yeah.
And if you pick up Savage Spider-Man #1, you have no idea what's going on because it is a direct continuation from Nonstop Spider-Man number 5 or 6, whatever the end of the series was.
Yeah. Yeah, that was wild. That was a whole other deal as far as new #1.
It's not that it had an ending. If it was a miniseries with an ending,
like 1 or 2 more issues, maybe. I don't know. I didn't read any more after that. Oh, but Kurt Vonnegut said once, I heard, some things only happen in real life and bad fiction. And I always thought that was a cool quote. I think it applies to the simulation thing too, right? Like real life or a bad simulation would have two of the same thing. Maybe. That was awesome for some reason. Oh, there's so many possibilities.
So, what book are we talking about? Oh, right, Justice League 75. I don't care. What I do care about, what I do care about is what we're doing next.
Yes.
This series was fine. The Justice League died. I'm totally okay with it. All of them can stay dead for as long as they want. They can have a good siesta beyond the grave and never return, and I won't be sad about it. Give me the next Justice League, which I think are probably going to be the future State Justice League, I'm assuming.
Yeah, probably a makeup. Yeah.
I am fine with that. Let it last a couple of years, man. Do not reboot this shit in 6 months and give us the Justice League back again. Let's have some cojones and keep the story going for a while. I don't care that they kill characters off. The thing that bothers me is that they bring them back so quickly.
I do care, but now JD, there's two things about this. That one, which I think could be very exciting to you and I, it looks like if they have the Future State or a very similar to the Future State Justice League, Wally might be part of that league, which would be pretty cool, right? Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm glad that Wally's still around.
Yeah. Like Barry's wherever he is.
Like he's been dead for a long time. It's fine. Wally can stay.
Well, Barry's not dead.
Oh, Barry's not dead?
No. He's just been.
Yeah, you're right.
They mentioned it here. He's just been taken. He's trapped. You know.
Good. That guy.
I don't feel the same way. But what would be cool, I think, is if they also had an ongoing, like you get the Future State Justice League, and that's the Justice League book, but a title that features these characters who seem to have died, and maybe Barry Allen, off parallel somewhere doing something completely unrelated. You know, some crazy, like in a fantasy world or something, you know, in some other realm or what have you.
I don't think I would care.
Yeah, but you don't like those characters as much as I do.
No. It's not that I don't like the characters. You're misrepresenting what I'm saying.
Okay.
Or I have misrepresented myself.
No, I'll take it on me.
Sorry, I was thinking of the song.
Take me out.
I love the characters. I love the Justice League characters.
Sure.
Except for Martian Manhunter. I don't give a shit about that guy.
What about Barry Allen?
I like Barry Allen better than I like Martian Manhunter.
Okay.
If there's going to be a Flash,
apparently.
Fine. But I'm just saying I prefer Wally.
Sure.
I love the characters. I love the Justice League as a group.
Yeah.
If they're going to kill them, let them stay dead for a while. I am 44 years old. Jesus Christ. I have been reading these characters a good long time. And I am fine with them being off of the playing field for a while. I know that it is cyclical and it is an eternal second act, and that's the way it's always going to be. Just let it stay for a while and let's have these new characters and have some fun with them.
Although similarly, interestingly, you are 44 years old and 3 or 4 years seems shorter to you than some other readers. Like if you were 17 and you're like, Superman, Batman are not going to be around for the next 3 or 4 years until I'm 21 years old.
Yeah.
What is this?
I'll be half in the grave by the time I'm 21.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, this is a guy with very weird habits. And but he likes his comics. And no, I personally, I think it would be cool, similar to how they did with Batman, when he seemed to have died to everyone else, if, you know, use this as an opportunity to remove them from the playing field of the main DC universe, but they're off doing something else, and you still get to read some set of adventures that would never normally take place with these characters. You know, they're completely separate from all of their supporting cast, their regular setups. You know, it's just them as a group in some, you know, some sort of the Atom kind of thing where it's a completely different thing. I think could be pretty cool. I'm also interested in the Jurassic League by Daniel Warren Johnson, which was advertised in this comic. I'm interested because it's Daniel Warren Johnson. That is actually the only reason that I'm interested.
Okay, yes. I am interested in a new Daniel Warren Johnson experience.
Yeah.
I don't know if I care about the Jurassic League.
I didn't at all and thought it sounded ridiculous and very far from something I was interested in until I saw this ad. And I was like, oh, Daniel Warren Johnson's doing it? All right, I'll check that out.
Action Figure Expert is in the comments saying, have comic bags and boards gone up in demand and price recently? Yes. There are supply chain issues. They are harder to get. A friend of mine in Delaware cannot find any, he says. I've got some bags and boards, but yeah, they are more difficult to come by. There's been a lot of supply chain issues. And these, I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out this comment. All these rivers is the whole reason I stopped commerce almost a decade ago. I'm assuming he means comics.
All these rivers.
All these rivers.
Reason. That's a very poetic statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious what that means.
Tried to stop commerce.
My favorite book of the last 15 years are all books that have consequences, death. And I wish the big two did the same, at least for a little bit. Agreed, Kevin. Agreed.
Is that the only consequence that is interesting?
No, consequences, parentheses, death.
Okay. Well, I wasn't sure if that's what, it's like that's a real consequence and nothing else really, big changes to the character or something like that. Because what's up?
Oh, Action Figure Expert's asking, what do you not like about the Martian Manhunter?
He's one of the coolest.
Everyone says that. Yeah. Everyone says he's one of the most powerful Justice League members. Of course, sometimes people say it's Plastic Man. I mean, he's got his own set of powers, which can be impressive. But I just don't. I've never cared for his does he even have a alter ego anymore?
He has off and on, and some in at least one story, which I thought was really cool. He had multiple alter egos that he would, because he can shapeshift. He was being all different kinds of people.
So that sounds neat.
Yeah, it was cool. I mean, that's certainly not his status quo. It never has been for long. He had John Jones in the very beginning, but it's been a while since they have him really. He'll become that sometimes when he needs to, but for me, that's not the most interesting part about him. I like he's a very philosophical character. He's very distant in a way, very contemplative, but he's also, depending on the era, he's very fun loving. He's into experiencing humanity. And a lot of that depends on some eras. He's more on one side of that than the other, but he's similar to Superman. He loves them, or Chacos actually. Chacos, they didn't. That was at a time when they didn't just use whatever product placement wasn't a thing and all that stuff. He's got the Superman thing of being the last survivor of Mars. Although I think he's still fine when, on Young Justice, when there's Mars is full of Martians, or even at the end of the Silver Age. Yeah, that's what they used to call it, and then they're like, let's shorten it to Mars. But,
that's where the coffee got its name, chock full of nuts.
Yeah.
It was a reference to chock full of Martians, which was the original name for Mars, and then they shortened it.
And they're very long lived. One of them was here before chock full of nuts, and inspired that. But I think he maintains that, or they've had him be a poet before everything went wrong, and I think they really emphasize that student of human nature, alone but very enlightened kind of character, and also his function as the heart of the Justice League, because he's never been that successful in his own book, so that's where his story is really told, is in the Justice League stories.
He reminds me of a slightly more emotional Silver Surfer, another character that is distant, philosophical, and I don't care about reading their books.
One of my favorite characters, the Silver Surfer. He's one of the only Marvel action figures that I've gotten around to purchasing. Not that I wouldn't.
Is he silver or is he just matte gray?
No, he's pretty silver. He's the
Silver Hawks action figures. They were chrome. you remember those?
Yeah, he might not be quite that silver, but he is definitely reflective.
Okay, good.
He's
good.
There you go. You can.
Nope.
Whoop. Where is he? No, that's the wrong
No
one.
idea.
Listen, he's around.
I see a vast collection.
There
of
he is.
Dildos, but I don't see any Silver Surfing.
Each dildo shaped like one of my favorite Marvel and DC characters.
Yeah, they're all shaped like action figures, but we know.
Yeah, you know.
They're for insertion only.
Yeah, you know what kind of feelings that gives rise to. You own a comic store. You don't even take him out of the box.
No, the whole box goes in.
But yes, there he is, shiny, surfing a little bit. Yeah, I always that's a really good comparison. I think the two of them are very similar, and two of my favorite characters. I also have a Martian Manhunter figure, but not in this room.
Is it from the Darwin Cook? Because that was a nice figure.
I do have that one. I have that, Flash, and Green Lantern from New Frontier. And but the one that I have displayed at the moment is one from what was the era right after Blackest Night, when Brightest Day, from that time. I have that and Firestorm, I think, both from that era. And this Silver Surfer is the one that came with the Infinity Gauntlet.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Bring him over here. Let's see him. Go grab him.
Right.
Get him. Bring the gauntlet.
All right, I'm gonna make him surf him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are waiting for Brian. Oh, here he comes. Oh, that is a nice one. Ooh.
Here he is.
Look at those abs.
Right?
He
doesn't need to work out.
Abs.
He has the power cosmic.
Yeah. That adds 990 abs.
If you wanted to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
I'm not 100% sure where the Infinity Gauntlet is right now. I mean, I didn't lose it, JD. It's a very powerful
You can't just lose the Infinity Gauntlet.
No. It's here. I usually keep it around. Oh, you know what? I might know where it is. I'll tell you, I've done a lot of work on. I love to find a pose. There's usually at least one or two that looks lifelike for an action figure. You know, something that you put it just right, and it has a little bit of a living nature. Silver Surfer has been pretty tough. I've had him try to do more in the arms forward kind of thing, and the one arm back, you know, that kind of deal. But I have settled for now anyway on this more, because he's always flying around like this, right? He doesn't need to. Yeah. He doesn't need to like.
Yeah, the pose I always think of when Silver Surfer is surfing is.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And we'll see. Another thing is he doesn't really stand up too well on his own. I think he doesn't stand up too well on his own. And so the feet they kind of contort his legs in a particular way when they're both on the thing.
Yeah. It's a good thing that it's got that board, though, to help so it doesn't get stuck when you have to remove him.
It is good.
Action Figure Expert says, nice selection for a dildo collection.
Thank you. The silver ones are my favorites. Yeah. I can't see them when I'm using them, but I know they're silver.
You don't have to add as much glide.
Exactly.
Yeah, they slide right in and out. Let's talk about another comic book. Oh, you know what? We'll talk about another comic book after we talk about the promo block of the show.
Is that right?
In addition to liking and subscribing on YouTube, please like and follow us on Facebook. We stream there as well. If you look for CultPop Podcasts, you can help the show out with money. If you have any, you can go to patreon.com/JohnnyDestructo. That's me. This is our show, and this would help our show out. That would be lovely. That's the end. We've done it. Are you going to do a Thunder Round? Oh, you don't have your thing in. Are you going to do a Thunder Round?
Thunder Round. No, I don't have anything to do. We all read the books that I read. Wait,
you didn't do Knights of X?
No, I didn't get to it.
You jerk.
That's why I did it. I was like, I'm going to tell him that I maybe would do this, and then I'm not going to do it. And he's going to be so disappointed, and I'll enjoy that.
Classic.
I like it. I like that kind of thing. Listen, I got up for a second because I thought that I might know where the Infinity Gauntlet is, and I wanted to show it to you. It looks like the one in the comics, but it's like this big. It would fit on the Silver Surfer's hand.
Action figure expert says, "Oh, cool! That's the Marvel Select action figure."
Marvel Select, yes. Yeah. That's what I couldn't think of. Yeah.
Thunder Round.
Those Marvel Select figures are great. They're very expensive, so this is the only one that I've ever gotten. But I see them sometimes. Yeah, I think you have a Thor one.
I do. He's up on the wall.
Yeah. And I think you had a Captain Marvel. No, a Hulk one, right?
I had a Hulk one. Planet Hulk.
You had a Hulk?
He's gone, I think.
Well, he's out in the world now, doing his thing. But yeah, they're great, really detailed figures. They always seem to come with some cool accessory too, like the Infinity Gauntlet for.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Which I don't even sit near the figure that it came with. It's just like, that's the Infinity Gauntlet. It can stand on its own,
Let me ask you this.
Go ahead.
Do you like Adam Warlock?
Yeah, he's one of my favorite side fellas.
Side pieces? I figured.
Yeah. Why? Did you ask because he's kind of similar to those characters?
Yes.
Too?
Yeah. It's another character I don't care about.
Yeah, he's a character that he's an action figure that I would like to have.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited about him being in the movie coming up.
What movie?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Is he?
Yeah.
Cool. I remember we saw him 2 movies ago, and then that was the end of it.
We saw his Cocoon, yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, but who knows if this will even be related to that, or if they won't tie that in exactly. It doesn't matter. But
Todd Engel is in the comments. He's going to do a Thunder Round. All right, you ready?
Right. Yeah.
All right, 60 seconds on the clock. I can do a Thunder Round of Knights of X. It was trash. It has good characters. That's the only good thing I can say about it. End of round. Good job, Todd.
I think another 40 seconds on the clock or so. I'm not talking until you... Adam Warlock is another. He was like created as the ultimate being, and he's very sort of removed and philosophical. He thinks about stuff a lot, and
what a dork.
He's tied into some particular philosophy that I forget what it was. And he's also one of the main characters in Universe X, which is like one of my favorite Marvel stories ever.
Oh, I've never read it.
Oh, it's so good. And I read it before Earth X. I think I was in college when Earth X came out, and I wasn't around getting comics. And so I just saw Universe X #1, and I'm like, let's check this out. They give you everything you need to know about Earth X, but I know you read Earth X and weren't as into it.
It was good.
Yeah, and I agree.
It better on the second read.
Really? Wait, how long ago was that? Like a while. The second read?
A while ago, yeah.
Yeah. I read it after, and I was like, this is cool because I'm seeing how Earth X got to where it is. But man, this is not as much of a nonstop cool ride as Universe X was. I didn't like the art as much, and the story was not as interesting to me either. But yeah, Universe X still stands up as one of my favorites. Yeah.
I never read. I tried to read the second X.
Paradise X?
Yeah.
That's the third one.
Oh.
Universe X is the second one.
Oh, then maybe I did try to read Universe X and I gave up.
With the realm of the dead, and all the characters are in their reverse colors, and Adam is trying to I remember what happens at the end, but I don't remember what he's trying to do. He's trying to fix everything, make everything great. And there is still a couple of moments from that I think about now and then. One involving the Silver Surfer. He's great.
Let's move on to the next book. It's called Bloodstained Teeth.
Cool.
From Image Comics, written by Christian Ward, with art by Patrick Reynolds. Atticus Sloan, misanthrope, criminal, asshole, and vampire.
Oh.
Lives in a world where blood isn't the only thing vamps crave. And for the right price, he'll make you a vampire too. After all, immortality isn't cheap.
Could be.
Right off the bat, I liked the cover of this issue. I thought it was very cool.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just basically the bottom half of someone's face. It's covered in blood. The blood is dripping.
Oh yeah.
He's got a gold fang.
Oh yeah,
Very
I
cool.
didn't notice that.
I just
That
like
is
that.
cool.
I found it, and
Yeah.
I really like the font, like the typeface.
I guess he's
The logo
main
design.
character, given what happens in the story.
Mhm.
To one of the characters. You know what? I think when I was younger, I always pictured them sucking the blood in through the fangs, like there were little holes in the fangs, right? And
little hollow fangs, yeah.
yeah, and that's how they get it. And because you only ever see like 2 little puncture marks, you know?
Right.
They're not. It's not like their neck is covered in blood, but maybe the vampires are so into it and so good at it that they just get all the blood. But also, they're just the 2 puncture marks. Come to think, maybe they puncture them and then bring the fangs out and drink that way. Because you know, in my younger days, I would have been like, "How's he's down to 1 fang? How's he gonna do this now?" But yeah, I guess it makes sense the other way.
Yeah, they probably just use a knife.
Yeah, they don't need the fangs even.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. What a bunch of.
What a bunch of hooey.
Yeah.
Mars Comics says, I like the colors of this book. Bright and cheery for a vampire book. They lick the neck clean.
They lick
says
the
Mars.
neck clean. They don't waste a drop, the vampires.
Although I was thinking about that. I was gonna say they suck all the blood off of the but doesn't blood stain your skin?
They suck that so well.
Oh yeah.
Because they get it so fast. But there's always like 2 little spots of blood right where the holes are.
There's always one little driblet that comes down the neck when they're sucking on your blood. Anyway, vampires are hot.
Sure. There's a lot about them that they're very sensual, sexual beings.
Yeah, my ex-wife used to like to do a lot of vampire role play.
That's cool. Where you would like see a vampire and then have sex while it watched you.
Yeah, we would go out and we would hunt a vampire.
Yeah.
We would entrap it. We would ensnare it in our cage.
Yeah.
And we would bring it into the bedroom.
Sure.
Starve it for months.
Yeah.
Just ever so often giving it a little pinprick of blood. Just enough.
Yeah.
To keep it alive. And then we would make it watch us have sex.
For months you wouldn't. And all over top of this middle-aged person's screams of "I'm not a vampire."
They always lie to you, and they tell you
that's how you can tell a vampire.
Yeah, we didn't let it have blood or any other food or drink for months. And if it was not a vampire, it would be fine without blood.
Of course, it would be fine. But as you could tell, it was wasting away.
Might have been because of the food and water that we didn't give it.
Yeah,
but it's probably mostly the blood we didn't give it.
I would think so. And then it was ready for you to have sex in front of.
Yeah, it was all very tantric. All the waiting and everything.
Yeah.
Oh, it was very erotic.
But you'd have sex in other rooms of the house during this time, I'm sure. Right. No, none of this happened. This is a real person we're talking about who is not here. Obviously, none of this really happened.
Action figure expert says, just out of curiosity, speaking of vampires, thoughts on Morbius?
I always thought Morbius was very cool. I have not heard the same of the movie.
I think he means the movie.
I know that he does, but I mean, I always thought Morbius was really cool, and I would be interested in seeing a Morbius movie, but I haven't.
Yeah, I haven't seen it. Oh shit! What are we talking? All right, the movie,
the blood-stained teeth.
The blood-stained teeth.
Yeah.
What did you think of this book? Tell us what it is. Tell us what it is in 4 seconds or less. Go.
It's a book about a vampire who turns humans into vampires.
Oh, yeah.
And he's not supposed to do that because the human turned into vampires are like bloodthirsty and uncontrollable, whereas the other ones, I guess, are born as vampires. And they're like the rulers of the world and more, sophisticated, I guess, or they don't just go around killing people. I mean, they must, but they don't do it in such a way that they get caught, or they don't do it a lot, or whatever it is. They're more restrained.
So our Atticus Sloan, our main vampire here, he takes money in order to turn you into vampires. And the very first person he turns in the beginning of this issue, it's not the first person he turned, but the first person we're introduced to that has been turned, automatically starts TikToking about it and stuff, and like posting about how she's a vampire now, which is a problem for the older vampires who are like,
yeah. People can, for some reason, team up and kill us, even though we're an ancient, powerful society.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone.
Shush.
Yeah.
So yeah. But the art in this is pretty cool. I think the colors can get a little distracting, but are overall very cool.
A little bit, but yeah, they are. It's a cool, like Mars Comics alluded to earlier, it's a really cool juxtaposition for the subject matter, and it has this kind of almost like 80s color scheme, you know?
Yeah, very neon. Yeah.
Very neon.
Mm-hmm. Hot pinks all over the place, blues, yeah.
Yeah.
Yellow.
But in the colors of all the book too, not just a lot of it takes place in the city, and it's not just that the city is filled with neon lights. Not that you were suggesting that, but now, so that was good. That was a really good part of the book. The tale itself, I thought, was like, okay, all right. Like, you've got an interesting setup. I can't say I was that taken with their terminology. Like, the ones turned into vampires are called sips. The sips are bad, bad for us. I don't know. It just didn't grab me, the sips thing. And the fact that the guy who is kind of running the show, the vampire that's kind of running the show, is Bram Stoker. Who
Brother Stoker, First Council's head of public relations.
Oh, where's that? Was that in the text of the book?
That's where he's. Yeah, it's where he's interested. He's he's got they meet under the portrait of Bela Lugosi as Dracula, and then Brother Stoker, First Council's head of public relations, and he's standing next to Mr. Tooth, Firstborn Heavy.
Right. That's the kind of thing that I sometimes really, really like. We created Dracula to fool people into thinking, like, you have to be a moron to think that this is the case.
I thought that was cool.
For some reason, the fact that it was Bram Stoker who was the vampire, I was kind of like,
As opposed to like maybe someone that a vampire had enthralled to write the book.
Yeah, exactly. Or even like that was a name that he had taken for himself momentarily in that time, but he was thousands of years old, which might be the case. But yeah, something like that. Like a vampire arranged to have it made, I think I would have been very into, and have been very into in other stories of this kind. I was like, I never read it, but the idea of the purloined letter, the Edgar Allan Poe story where somebody's trying to hide a letter that they stole. So they like flip the envelope inside out, which I guess was possible, and put it in with the other letters. So who looks for a stolen letter where the letters are,
Right.
And that was the method. And I always found that to be very, very interesting. And this is very similar to that. But yeah, I think just it being Bram Stoker was what turned me off for some reason.
Oh, it didn't bother me. I liked it. I thought it was a nice,
Yeah.
It skipped a step. It was like, all right, we can just it'll be Stoker.
Yeah, sure. But and by the end of the book, the setup of like, all right, they're gonna kill this guy who's turning people unless he goes and kills all of those people. That could be interesting. We'll see. The one thing about the art that I had was it was a little jarring at times, as far as sequential narrative goes. Like I felt like sometimes it didn't. Not that I had a hard time figuring out what the story was saying, but the jarring nature of some of the art, like when some of the people are covered all in a bunch of lines.
That's the colorist, yeah.
Yeah, some of that I felt put little blockages in the flow of the story.
Agreed. Well,
Yeah.
I'm looking at this page here, and I couldn't get. Listen, I tried earlier to make it so that I could show the images like I usually do.
Yeah.
But in order to give Chrome,
Hmm.
my browser, permission to show it, I have to reboot, which would stop the broadcast.
No deal.
I'd have to stop. I'd have to reboot Chrome.
You can't just announce it. Give it permission.
Yeah. Chrome, just do it.
Yes, you have my leave. Show the images.
Yeah, there's the guy in the cage, and for some reason he's got like this red texture all over his body, which is very distracting. It's very strange.
Yeah. They at times seem to be unrelated to anything happening in story. Yes. Like at other times, it's like, oh, they're in some sort of club, so I guess it makes sense. It's light on them. But the page where they threaten Stoker and Mr. Tooth threaten the main guy, there's several of these that I guess one of them is him being exposed to the sun. But yeah, I don't know. It makes it just a little hard to move through. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what a lot of it looks like? It looks like that you're in a dark room and there is a projector projecting a graph or something. Yes, the person is in that room having the graph, the image projected onto them. And it can be a little distracting at times. I think it's a very cool look for most of the book, but it does oversaturate the book and it's a bit much at times.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what it looks like. And in the club scenes, I assumed that's it actually is that in the story. Yeah. But it can't be that in every case.
Right,
that it's
in every
used.
room.
Right. Vampires like a lot of projected light.
Yeah.
Well, they can't go out in the sun.
That's right.
They like to.
Give us all the light we can get.
Yeah.
No, I like this. I'll probably read it when it comes out in trade. I don't know if I have the time to keep up with it in issues.
Wouldn't it take the same amount of time?
It's fun. It's cool. What?
Wouldn't it take the same amount of time, just spread out over a larger total period of time?
So we're going to move on to Punisher #2 from Marvel Comics by Jason Aaron and Jesus Saez and Paul Azaceta. The Punisher story to end all Punisher stories continues. The Hand has lost its way. What was once the world's most fearsome organization of ninjas and killers has found itself defeated time and again by lesser foes. One priestess believes it's because the Hand hasn't had the proper leadership, the living embodiment of their dark lord, the Beast. Enter the Punisher, the most accomplished murderer who has ever lived, a man determined to end his war no matter what it takes. Hey. Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, this book looks great.
Oh, phenomenally drawn book.
Jesus' artwork is exquisite in this. I think that it is a disservice to have it next to Paul Azaceta, who has a very different style.
These are two different artists. It's not one person doing two very different styles. Okay.
No. The very first page that you open up, that's Paul Azaceta, and where, Frank Castle's getting interrogated by the principal.
Yeah.
And then it jumps to the sex scene. That's Jesus Saez. Which is very, very nice. I wish I could show you this. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's good. Maybe go ahead and buy the book if this is the kind of thing that you're interested in.
Yeah, if you want to see what the art looks like, go friggin' buy it.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, speaking of buying a book, Mars Comics.
What have you?
Like a month ago, Mars Comics asked me if I had Step by Bloody Step because they wanted it. I still have it here for you, Mars.
There we go.
You should contact me and then I'll send it to you. So anyway, this is a cool story. I think it's really cool. I wonder about Frank. Does Frank get involved where they are worshiping the Beast? That seems weird. So I have to assume he's doing all of this on purpose in order to take down the Hand. That's my assumption for why Frank would even be involved in any of this. I know that
he also
Daredevil was involved with the Hand and became the leader of the Hand for a while in Shadowland.
The daimyo, which apparently is not a Star Wars term,
right?
That they use here in this comic.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I thought that was an alien
No,
word.
no, it's I believe
Is
it's
it
Japanese.
Oh, how about that? Cool.
Nope, you cut me off and I forgot what I was saying.
Oh, sorry about that.
He must be doing it on purpose, is my point.
Yeah. Now, he also, at one point in this book, says, like, only kill the people that I tell you to kill and don't kill anybody else. So that could be a reasonable motivation for him, too. That he's like, all right, I'll use this group of assassins to... I kill people all the time. Why not get them to do what I want them to do? Could I, for 1 second, address Action Figure Expert says something regarding the last book, but he says, I always wanted to know, do vampires change monkeys or other primates? I think is an interesting question. I think they could.
I think they could change anything.
Right? A fish? What about, does everything have blood? I remember...
Anything with blood.
Anything with blood that can accept, or anything that can feed on blood, maybe. I don't know how that part works. But I remember a book called Bunnicula when I was a kid. Do you remember that book?
I'm aware of it.
Yeah, he would feed off of vegetables, and he would drain them of all their color, I think.
Really?
He would do something. And my recollection is hazy on this subject. If he was a regular vampire who was a rabbit, but, like, operated under regular vampire rules and restrained himself from feasting on the blood of the other children's book characters, and just feasted on the vegetables, or if that was his entire deal, that his kind of vampire only feasted on vegetables ever. But he was cool. He was all white. He had red eyes and little fangs.
Sounds adorable.
It was great. I think it was even a series. So,
and he slaughtered everyone in the 100-acre wood.
He did. It was a crossover.
Yeah.
Unapproved by A.A. Milne, but still canon. He did it over Milne's objections many years later. Right. So anyway, yes, I just wanted to bring up Bunnicula real quick in response to that question. So the Punisher, the art was phenomenal. That does seem to be to be in keeping with Frank Castle's character. Yeah, it's maybe
kill as many people as I can kill, or kill as many bad guys as I can kill.
Right, like and he's his whole like the wife and kids thing is his whole motivation and always has been. So the opportunity to get them back maybe is a driving force as well. It is hit with in almost every Jason Aaron book there is something that it is phrased like it is a wise statement. And this one wasn't so bad, but what did it mean? For what is a hand without a fist to protect it? Right. Is there a fist in the hand? Is it coming out of the top of somebody's hand? What does it mean?
It's the other hand is a fist.
So you got one hand and the other hand of two is
fist
a
fist to protect the hand.
And the other hand is useless without this other hand as a fist.
Yeah.
Phrased like a proverb.
Yeah.
Meaningless.
I noticed that too, and I was like, that's a weird one.
It's it's the thing that annoys me most about his style is that. And I mean, at this point I'm looking for it. So I was like, what's he got for us this time? Yeah. But just like, that doesn't It's like it happens in a lot of things. Like even in Christopher Nolan's Batman, right? Like you either die a hero or live long enough to be a villain. Is that true? Is that accurate? Like not really. It happens in this movie, but that's not a timeless truth. Just like
I wonder if it's supposed to be power corrupts.
Maybe it could be
just another way of saying that.
And who knows? Maybe a very charitable read of it is as society progresses, people who at one time were heroes, we moved to where they were and even farther, and now we're like, those guys could have been better, right?
Well, and
so
also
that's a very hopeful view.
Part of the conversation is that of the film is that people want a hero, but what they want even more than a hero is someone that they can tear down. So if you start off as a hero, the people will make you a villain. If you're there too long, the people will find a reason to make you a villain. Because there's nothing that humanity likes more than a hero than to watch a hero fall. Which I think they also said in, I believe, was part of the monologue by the Green Goblin in the first Spider-Man movie, Sam Raimi.
But we all still like Spider-Man.
What?
But we all still like Spider-Man.
We like Spider-Man.
Yeah, we like Batman. You know, because the best ones, you know, they keep it going. People look up to them, like Superman, right? Yeah. But yeah, and another thing that I find difficult to believe about this comic is that Frank Castle is the most perfect murderer of all time. This is a world with Cletus Cassidy. You know, and there's there's so many other more murderous people in this Marvel universe.
Deadpool
is even more of a murderer. Is there some kind of quality to Frank Castle's murdering that makes his better than the others? It doesn't seem that way. If anything, it seems like his moral qualities are like a bit of a too bad for these people. You know, they're like, our guy finally got reincarnated, and he doesn't want to just kill everybody.
Yeah,
you know, wah, wah.
What a soy boy.
Yeah, exactly. This is a classic sitcom setup.
Yeah,
you finally get your Red Messiah reincarnated, and all he wants to do is kill bad guys.
What a dick. Yeah.
So yeah. Although the similarity to how they choose the Dalai Lama, I thought was interesting. Are you familiar with that? From what I understand, part of the process of depending on what is actually happening, either finding or choosing a new Dalai Lama, is some objects that have belonged to previous Dalai Lamas.
Dalai's Lama?
Yeah, I was gonna do that, and I'm like, I don't think so. I don't know how that one works. Because Lama is the title, right?
Yeah, so you don't have to. It's fine. Keep going.
There's other lamas, and he's the Dalai Lama. So they have little like objects that they present to these like young kids, and they like if they pick the right one, you know, like oh that one belonged to me, then that's like one thing that points in the way of the Dalai Lama. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is kind of cool. Yeah. I imagine that's a direct reference, right? That's pretty specific.
It would be uncanny if they had just happened to choose that, but I guess not impossible.
I do like the scene where he goes up against one of Ares' acolytes and just goes at him with shuriken in his fists.
Yeah.
That was pretty brutal.
That's pretty classic Punisher, right? Like he's not a big martial arts guy, but he does mention that he has brass knuckles when he's a kid.
And I did like that he is no good with a sword.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, why would he be? Like, why would he have ever trained in that? He's not that kind of fellow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I bet he knows how to use a knife real well. He seems like you know, like he carries a knife around. You got to have something, right? When you run out of bullets. He doesn't bow before this murder god, which I thought was cool. And I found myself wondering, like, is that part of the test? Like, if he had bowed, he would have been like, "You're not the Red Messiah.
Yeah,
get out of here." You know,
get out of here.
Yeah, hit the bricks. Also, so a woman approaches you, dressed all in robes, presents 3 daggers, and says, "Are any of these yours?" You tell her to get lost, and she leaves. This doesn't ring a bell several decades later,
right? Yeah.
When you are once again presented with them, or see a woman in a red robe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm not going to read any more of this because I don't think I've ever bought a Punisher comic, you know.
Right.
But yeah, it's the kind of Punisher thing that if anything was going to get me into it, it would probably be a story more in this vein, with some mystical stuff or something interesting happening with Frank Castle.
Is that what you want? Something interesting?
It's
You want to be interested in what you're reading, Brian?
That's
dork.
a quality in a book that I really appreciate.
Yeah.
Is if I want to see what happens after what I'm reading right then.
It sounds like good qualities. Yeah.
Oh, Ares punching this guy's head off is
Oof.
very well illustrated as well.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
That's
I
another
like
thing.
This. I thought this was fun. I do dabble in the Punisher eventually, occasionally.
You punish from time to time.
Yeah, I'm known to punish.
Yeah.
This was fun. I like this. I'm going to keep up with this, I think.
That's cool.
Yeah. That's it. We did it.
Did we? Are you
we
sure
did it. We're all done.
That we didn't have one more thing that we read about demons and having them?
No, that was part of the that was the Thunder Rounds.
I thought you read it also.
Oh, I did. I did read it.
Oh, so did I. I mean, do you want to talk about it or just do 2 Thunder Rounds about it?
Nah, we'll just wait for number 3 to come out.
I read it.
Good. So you'll be ready for number 3.
But I wouldn't have read it.
Well, it's too late now.
I suppose it uncontrovertibly is.
Yeah. Kevin says, was Punisher War Machine any good? I don't know.
I don't know.
I
remember him being in a What If where he got the Venom symbiote and it made bullets for him like it made webs for Peter Parker.
But whenever they hit somebody, they just went.
Yeah, he hated it.
Yeah,
he hated it. I guess he could shoot him out fast enough, right? That it would still be something.
How?
Yeah, it really
What's
hurt.
this goo on my chest? Why are you shooting me with goo?
That's your punishment.
Yeah,
scrub it off.
Damn it! Someone give me my Tide pen. Mars says, "Great show, guys. Thanks, Mars. Email me.
Yes,
and I'll send you this book.
Email the show.
Hey, Brian, what'd you think of We Have Demons #2 by Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo?
It was all right. It was
it was all right.
Yeah, it hit a lot of numbers. Something that I didn't see coming happened at the end, but once it happened, I was like, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't see it coming. Wasn't a big surprise. Yeah. You know, it continues to set up its apparently intricate world that they have thought a lot about.
For one more issue.
Oh, it's only 3?
It's a 3-issue series.
It's a threesome of
It's issues? a menage issue.
I think trois still applies.
I was thinking that as I said it too. I was like, issue a trois.
Issue a trois.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I actually like it. I do like it. We Have Demons. It's a digital, Comixology first kind of thing, but they've been printing them out in double-sized issues. I actually quite enjoyed it.
I mean, the art is I always like Greg Capullo, and the story is capable. Let's check out number 3. Let's
do it.
All right.
Oh man, I forgot to change the banners this whole time. It was still doing Justice League 75.
People
when Noel's not here, everything crumbles.
I thought we stood tall.
Nope. I was crumbling this whole time.
I was actually sitting.
Yeah. All right, guys. Thank you for hanging out with us. We will see you next Monday at 9 p.m. Deuces. Hopefully by then I won't have my backwards hat on.